Go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the host of the Steelers, featuring Talk Two Sports and the host. Host, how was your past week since we last recorded?
Oh, the week was going great until I saw the Steelers schedule this year, and it seems to be quite a doozy, as as you would say. But everything else is going good, Al.
Yep, yes, we will actually get into that um immediately as the first thing we want to talk about. Obviously that got released on Wednesday during the day, but officially Wednesday night was 100% confirmed. Um so obviously, as you can see here, regular season first starting off on the road for the first 2 weeks against Atlanta and Denver. Um, Revenge games for Arthur Smith, and then a revenge game for Russell Wilson. Then the home opener against the Chargers, and then a third road game against Indianapolis. What do you think about the first three, four games there? Host three on the road there.
I think they're all very winnable games, Alex. Arthur Smith, he'll be fired up to go against his own team. Russell Wilson will be fired up to prove himself. That Denver made a mistake letting him go. The home opener will be a challenge against new coach Jim Harbaugh and San Diego, and then they go to Indianapolis, where they played in Indianapolis last year and lost. Now they might be playing against Anthony Richardson if he remains healthy until week 4.
Yeah,
So those 4 games are winnable. Of course, the extra road game this year with the odd schedule flip flopping. They had 9 home games last year, so they get 9 away games this year. So it's going to be quite the challenge with this schedule.
and they don't have Mitchell Trubisky against the Colts this year.
That's always a positive.
And then after the Colts, Dallas on Sunday Night Football. That'll be a high scoring game. Playing at Las Vegas again. Um, they won on Sunday Night Football last year. Then they have a Sunday Night Football game and then a Monday Night Football game against both of the New York teams. What do you think about that stretch of four games?
The Dallas game at home, always a great rival with Dallas over all the years, the 3 Super Bowls they played, a couple of great regular season matchups they've had against them. Then they come out here. They came out here last year, took care of business. I'm not worried about the Raiders at all. They don't have a quarterback. I don't care what you say about Aiden O'Connell. He stinks. Then they got the Jets at home and the Giants at home, and the Giants are on Monday night, where they haven't lost at home on Monday night since what, Alex? What is it, 1992? So that streak looks like to be still going on because the Giants, they're not a great team either. So they should go 3-1 in that stretch, worst case scenario, and then they get to the second half of the schedule, which is just beyond unbelievable.
Yes, we'll get into that. It'll be interesting seeing how good Aaron Rodgers is for the Jets. And last time Steelers played Giants on Monday Night Football, it was the first week of the 2020 season, and they ended up winning that game, I think by like 2 touchdowns. Chase Claypool had a really good catch in that. Juju Smith-Schuster had a touchdown. Zach Banner got injured. Randomly, Benny Snell had her popped off that game, and Cam Heyward had an interception. Um, so then Steelers have a week 9 bye, which actually isn't a half bad bye for once. Steelers kind of got screwed in previous seasons leading up to that on bye. But then, as host alluded to, the hard second half of the schedule starts off with a easy, potentially warm up game at Washington. But then we get into the interesting part where they play all their AFC North opponents. So they're home at Baltimore. Then they have a short week Cleveland on Thursday. Then they Sunday, December 1st at Cincinnati. So two back-to-back road games. Then they play Cleveland at home on Sunday, December 8th. What do you think about that? Mostly AFC North stretch right there.
It's just as much as it seems difficulty, we got to remember though, okay, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, he's 1-6 against the Steelers. Deshaun Watson's never beat him. And they took care of business with Joe Burrow in week one of 2022. Of course, Joe Burrow was hurt last year in the games they played him. So let's slow down. I know it's hard, but they're still winnable games. Now, the fact that they're all piled in together makes it even more difficult because they're usually hard hitting games, usually a lot of wear and tear in the body. So, that could be an effect. And of course, injuries always come in effect. We don't know how these other teams are going to be come these games late in the season. They could be missing their quarterback. They could be missing one of their best receivers. They can be missing key defensive guys. The Steelers also, they could be missing a bunch of key guys too in this.
Yes.
So, I overreacted a little bit with the schedule, but it's still a tough schedule. And hey, Alex, how about this rumor that a Cleveland Brown fan helped with making the schedules in the NFL? Is that true, or is that just some rumor out
Interesting.
there? Have you heard that?
I think Ryan Clark was talking about it on ESPN.
Yeah, Ryan Clark mentioned that.
Like you said, we'll have to see what quarterbacks are healthy at that point. Obviously, last year, Lamar ended up staying healthy the whole year, but Burrow and Watson were both out. And even Steelers were changing starters a lot at the end of the year as well. And then someone said that to me, one of my Steeler friends, he said Cleveland Thursday night might be one of the toughest games of the season just because it's on the road and you have a short week coming off the Baltimore game, which Baltimore games are obviously really physical um, football games. And then
Oh, absolutely. Don't forget, a few years ago they played Cleveland on a Thursday night, beginning of the year. George Pickens made that great catch. They ended up losing that game. And then I think 3 or 4 years ago was when Miles Garrett tried to take off Mason Rudolph's head with his helmet on a Thursday night game. So this tends to be a game every year on Thursday night in Cleveland. So Cleveland always gets the break of this game being at home, when this game appears on the schedule.
Then the final stretch of the season, we have Sunday at Philly. Philly obviously collapsed the second half of the season last year. Then we have at Baltimore, who Steelers have won 7 out of 8 games against. Then the Christmas Wednesday game against the Chiefs, and then against Cincinnati the last week of the season. The time and date will be determined for that one. What do you think about the last 2 games and even the Wednesday Christmas game specifically?
I don't care if they play on Christmas, but I do care about, the short break. I get it. They play on Saturday, but then they got to turn around and play on Wednesday. It's the same as playing on Sunday and turning around and playing on Thursday. But, they're playing the week before at Philadelphia, and then they play at Baltimore on a Saturday, then home on Thanksgiving, which is the Wednesday game. I don't know I know NFL wants to make money. They want these games. They want a game on almost every day of the week. I get it. But, they always cry and say about, player safety. They're changing the rules of the defensive players. Pretty soon they're not going to be able to tackle these guys. But then again, they run them back out there, 3, 4 days later, and then 6 days later, and not giving these guys proper rest to heal their bodies to heal. So I'm not a fan of that. But the schedule is the schedule. It is what it is. We'll just see how it goes, and when we get there and see what who's playing, the injuries, and it all comes and amounts down to every little detail. So panic has set in early with how the schedule looks, Alex. But who knows? It could favor us in the long
Um, Chiefs lost on Christmas to the Raiders last season as well. And before we switch topics, 1 out of 10, how would you rate your happiness for the schedule this year?
term. The first half, I give it a 9 out of 10. And the second half, I give it a 2 out of 10. How's that?
Yep, yep, that works for me. Switching topics, now we've had reports towards the end of the week where Steelers are linked to um Michael Thomas, formerly of the Saints. Um, they were reported to be talking with him later in last week to try to bring him in, adding him to the team. So basically, obviously he had those really good years with the Saints. Hasn't been as productive since, amazingly because he missed a lot of games due to injuries. But Steelers have been linked to bringing him in for a meeting. Where do you think this developments go from here, host?
Well, I'll say this. I don't like it. I don't think this is a very good option for the Steelers unless they're getting them for the veteran minimum. If they're giving this guy any more than that, then that's just a little ridiculous. 149 catches in 2019, 1,725 yards, 9 touchdowns. 2020, of course, he got hurt. He only had 40 catches, 438 yards, no touchdowns. He didn't even play in 2021. 2022, he had 16 catches, and last year he had 39 catches. Obviously, this player is on the decline. He's lost all his mojo, and I don't know how many balls, if you could even catch 20 balls if he was healthy the whole year with the Steelers, how their offense is shaping up to be. I just don't think this is a very good move. I think they should stay away, and they could find somebody, younger, more hungry, and try to be more productive to get more out of that player than trying to sign a name like Michael Thomas.
Ooh, I actually half like this move. But the main concern is how many games he ended up playing because he actually wasn't too bad last year, although he only played in 10 of the games. I think he could be a good safety net for short and medium routes, and also he's very good in the red zone as well. And if you look last year, he still was able to make some pretty good plays and catches. It's just how healthy will he end up being? Because he would have been comparable to some of the Steelers receivers last year, like Pickens and Deontay Johnson, if he ended up playing the whole year. But the main concern with Michael Thomas is just that he gets injured a lot and he's pretty old. But we'll see how many developments, happen with him, um, as well as any other receivers they're in the mix with as well. Um, we'll move on now to the Cam Heyward situation where he does not plan to attend OTAs as he seeks a new contract. He actually has never missed an off-season training session until now, but I think that he doesn't really need to show up for those anyways because he's obviously a seasoned veteran and uh, the captain of the team, so he obviously knows what he's doing anyways. But we'll see how long it takes them to either work out a new contract or not work out a new contract. And I assume he's still going to be at. It's probably pretty much guaranteed he's still going to be at training camp when the time comes, and probably mini camp too. What are your thoughts on that Cam Heyward situation, host?
This is difficult, another difficult situation for the Steelers. Cam Heyward, a great player for the franchise. Walter Payton, Man of the Year award winner. What's he had like 70 some career sacks for the team. Of course he was hurt a lot last year, and now he's saying he wants to hold out for he's got 1 year left. He wants to hold out for a contract. He's up there in age. Don't know how many more years of productivity that he's going to be able to produce. He's been a great player. Like I said, he's been a great player for his franchise. I'm not sure if I want to shell out what he's going to be asking for. I'm sure it's going to be around between 15 and 20 million a year. Maybe it's only for 2 more years, but I don't know, Alex. It's a delicate situation there to extend somebody like Cam Heyward, to give him a contract, and him holding out. I just would never thought that he would be. the type of player to do something like that. But we'll see how this situation plays out. Hopefully, they can work out some kind of extension that's not, a lot of money. It's going to strap them with the cap.
I think that they'll be able to get a team-friendly deal with him, and they'll still give him like so he'll play this year, and then they'll give him an extra year, and they'll also give him a third year, but the third year will be the t team option. So if theoretically he was still good, they could play him, but they could cut him if he wasn't good anymore. But also I was thinking of they don't even necessarily have to give him a deal either, just because so Larry Ogunjobi's coming off the books next year too, and they're obviously going to draft a defensive line higher than they did this past draft. And then so you theoretically have both their contracts coming off the books. So then you could reinvest that in the position of D line, which you need too. So you could necessarily get younger and better guys at the position. But it'll be interesting to see how those contract negotiations work out throughout the summer. Any more thoughts on Cam Heyward host?
No, that's it. I think I said what I needed to say about Cam, and just hope he, like you said, gets a team-friendly deal.
Yes. We'll move on to another potential Steelers wide receiver link in Tennessee Titans Treylon Burks, former first round Titans pick, hasn't necessarily worked out with Titans yet, but he does add some potential upside and something the Steelers don't have, which is a really big bodied receiver. He's kind of like Michael Thomas is pretty big as well. But basically, Treylon Burks is kind of the opposite of Thomas, where Thomas is really, an all-pro caliber player in the decline, whereas Treylon Burks is a flyer player who hasn't worked out yet, but he still has lots of potentially lots of potential. And it wouldn't take that much to get him in trade and really money wise as well. He potentially could be a receiver Steelers take a fly on. People think he would fit what Arthur Smith wants in a receiver. What do you think about potential flyer on Treylon Burks host?
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Back to the whole Michael Thomas situation. Why take the risk and sign somebody like Michael Thomas, who's clearly on the decline? Treylon Burks, he's going to be 24. We don't know what kind of upside he has. Tennessee used him properly. If they gave him enough targets, he played 11 games each of the first two seasons, so he's dealt with a little injury here and there. But clearly he would be. I would clearly be in favor of signing someone like Treylon Burks or in a trade than taking on Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I think he definitely has a good amount of upside too. We'll see how motivated he could potentially be while switching teams. Could give him a fresh start as well. That's a situation to look out for as well. Regarding Michael Thomas too, I think if it doesn't happen in the next week or two, or well, really next week or a couple of days, it probably won't happen at all. And Treylon Burks is another receiver they're linked to as well. So we'll see how both those receiver situations work out. Just finally, for the wrap up portion of the episode, I wanted to take a look at a couple of these positions. Well, these are all somewhat positions of need for the Steelers. We have defensive line, cornerback, safety, and tight end. I wanted to get hosts' thoughts on some of the current players and a couple players Steelers could potentially uh, bring in. Obviously, first we got D line. We talked about Cam Heyward already. They have Larry Ogunjobi, who they honestly might have cut because he kind of has a big contract, but they need guys at that position. Um they obviously have Keanu Benton as well. And they brought in Dean Lowry to be as the Vikings defensive tackle as well. Host, what do you think about the state of the D offensive line right now?
Well, I just like you said, as long as they can work something out with Cam Heyward, uh, Obi they keep him. Benton looks like to be a player on the rise, somebody that could be a great Steeler for the next 7, 8 years. I like the potential with him. So there's a lot going on there. Just hope that these guys can stay in the mix. Don't they got Montravius Adams? They still have him, Alex? Or is he a free agent? Was he a free agent?
I think he was they might have brought him back though. Um, I'll look into that. What do you think about a possible veteran addition of Calais Campbell to this defensive line?
No, I'm not a fan of Calais Campbell. He's up there in age. He's older than Cam, I think. He's been a journeyman the last couple of years. Of course, with Jacksonville for a long time, Baltimore. I take a pass on him. I would try to squeeze in one of these younger guys floating around, or hopefully someone on the unrestricted practice squad that they signed here recently, and have gotten into Steelers rookie mini camp. See if one of those guys could work out.
I did think that was interesting because I know a couple people that were interested in Steelers potentially signing him because they could get him for cheap. And he actually didn't have half bad stats when I checked to look. But initially, I did have your opinion when I was like, I don't know if he's any good anymore. But he actually did have some half decent stats last season. Moving on to cornerback, that's another position Steelers could potentially try to add to. Obviously, Joey Porter Jr. Is their first round pick last year. He did a good rookie season. Then they have Dante Jackson, who they got for in the Deontay Johnson trade. Then they have like a lot of young guys like Darius Rush and Corey Trice. Um, even Ryan Watts, who they picked up from Texas, in this draft. What do you think about the state of the cornerback right
I like the Watts kid, and I like the Rush too. I like both those guys. I think they're going to fit well with Joey Porter and Dante Jackson. And you never know, like we talked about in the last show, the potential of signing Cam Sutton to a deal too to help out. So I think that's what they may be looking into. I think they're waiting to see how his off the field activities play out, and then maybe they make a play for to bring back Cam Sutton.
Yes, I think there's a good possibility they could add Cam Sutton as well, just because it wouldn't be necessarily be needed for like a long-term deal even. Maybe just a 1 or 2 year deal, and then they could try to develop some of the other cornerbacks. And also they did sign Anthony Averett last weekend. So I don't think Cam Sutton's suspension will even necessarily be that many games. I could see it being as low as like 2 games. So he could like fill in for a couple of games and then just have Sutton in there the rest of the season. I think there's a decent chance at him being a Steelers cornerback this upcoming season. Take a look at safety position next. Obviously, they got Minka Fitzpatrick, and they did sign Deshaun Elliott in the offseason as well. Terrell Edmonds just signed with the Chargers, I believe it was. So he's off the table now. What do you think about a potential bringing in Justin Simmons in the safety room?
I think that's the best option out there available right now. But the problem is, what's he going to cost? He's going to cost a lot of money. He'll be up way above the 10 million mark, probably closer to 15 when it comes to it. So I think that would be their best option. He would fit in great with Minka in the backfield. But again, a player of that caliber, a player that can make plays like that, it's going to cost you some money. So, and I don't really, look at besides Terrell Evans, who you just said signed with San Diego, I just don't see, uh, you know, anything out there worth grabbing, any potential player out there worth grabbing and taking on that would, fit in right away with a lot of coaching. So, uh, if Justin Simmons doesn't work out, we may see a lot of young guys be in there in the rotation helping out in the back with Minka.
Going back to cornerback and even this could translate to safety because I might add a second question to this. But do you think they could possibly bring back Chandon Sullivan at corner?
I don't know. I don't know what their what they saw with him, where they left it. If he has other options somewhere else, but that could be an option there. But I would, if I know the Steelers, and I know what they're probably thinking, I think they're going to try to go and get Cam Son.
Okay. Yes, yes. And also, I was going to say Patrick Peterson's still out there as well. I know they cut him, but they were potentially rumors he could come back. We'll have to see how that develops as well. But lastly, the tight end room. I don't see them adding another tight end to this room. They actually do like a lot of them. I think that might be a draftable position in the next couple of years, but they do have a lot of tight ends right now. They have Pat Fryermuth, who's looking to have a comeback season. Darnell, who they're looking to get in the offense more. Rodney Williams, who they like, he contributed on special teams a lot too. They might get him some more looks this season. And also you got Connor Heyward, who had a good rookie season. He might be more of a fullback role, but they didn't even use him at tight end that much either. But they'll be looking to get him more involved in the offense in general. Who do you like in the Steelers tight end room as of right now?
Well, of course, I like Pat Fryermuth, but the problem, Alex, we had a little discussion with this before. Arthur Smith's not a big usage at the tight end. Failed to get Kyle Pitts involved down there in Atlanta. So I'm very curious to see how he uses his tight ends in the passing game. I'm sure they're going to be in there blocking a lot in the running game part. But as far as the passing game goes, uh, phew, I don't know. I like to see how this plays out. So I can't make any comments until I see a few games in this season how Arthur Smith is going to use these guys.
Yes, Arthur Smith does like his blocking tight ends a lot. They also got the former Falcons tight end as well, Michael Plitt. He had a couple touchdowns last year, but he's mostly a blocking tight end. So hopefully they get Darnell more involved, especially in the red zone. And like you said, we'll have to see how good Pat Fryermuth ends up being um, during this upcoming next season. All right, host, that is our last topic of the day. What game, I guess I'll to wrap this up, what game are you most looking forward to on the schedule next season?
Oh, I actually look forward to the Dallas game. I hate Dallas, the rival of the Super Bowls. They beat us the last few times we played them. They came back in the last time they played in Pittsburgh. Ezekiel Elliott scored with 30 seconds left in the game on a run play. So I like to see. I can't wait. Look forward to that game. It's a big rival game, even though they're not in the same division.
Yes. I'm looking forward to the Monday Night Football game because I'm going to go to this year's Monday Night Football game against the Giants. So I will look forward to going to.
All right, nice.
All right. That has wrapped up the second edition of the host of the Steelers. Look out for more content from me at Steelers Fan Enemy Territory on YouTube, and check out the host on Twitter at SteelDF72. He'll have links to some of the other shows as well, host. We hope all you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and go Steelers.
Go Steelers.